Malaysia's Budget 2024 is slated to be tabled in Parliament this Friday. It will be a prime opportunity for the government to contain ballooning debt and undertake fiscal consolidation. In view of this, experts say the government needs to move forward with targeted subsidy reforms that are designed to save billions of dollars a year.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is ROZATUL ANISAH binti ROSLEE. My matric number is 298463. This video, I would like to present about budget. The budget for a particular is determined through the difference between the revenue received by the government compared to the expenditure used in a country economy. A country needs to have a budget in order for its economy to always be in a stable and efficient state. When the government expenditure exceeds the revenue received, budget deficit occurs, and this can be detrimental to a country if the situation persists. Malaysia has experienced budget deficit for a long period of time, and this has raised concern of Malaysians on the government financial management practice. We will be studying the factor and impact of the persistent budget deficit in Malaysia and the solution to solve the issue that will help Malaysia to receive and achieve fiscal sustainability. From this graph, we can see federal government overall and primary balance from 2008 to 2023.
Selamat sejahtera to Madam Zalina, my fellow coursemates and viewers. I'm Chong Ming, matrix number 298408, and I will be presenting the factors causing the persistent budget deficit in Malaysia. Why does persistent budget deficit happen in Malaysia? The first factor causing this situation is political considerations. According to McKitchen in 2019, politicians in Malaysia push spending programs and their favorite programs with little concern about the overall budget, as they want to gain political support to maximize chances of them being elected into office. The politicians know the fact people or voters like spending programs such as Sumbangan Tunai Rahmah and E-Belia Rahmah, but dislike paying taxes. As a result, the government revenue has to concede to the higher government spending, hence lead to the persistent budget deficit in Malaysia. Apart from political considerations, government lack of sustainable source of revenue also causes the persistent budget deficit in Malaysia. Based on the table shown, we can see that the government revenue is highly dependent on tax revenue, especially direct tax, and lack of other sources of revenue. Hence, the small revenue base of the government. According to Erwan Shah Zainal Abidin in 2021, the goods and services tax, which is seen as a fair, efficient, business-friendly, transparent, and innovative consumption taxation system, was abolished and replaced by the sales and services tax in 2018, causing the government's revenue base become smaller. According to Lim in 2022, in an exclusive interview, the then Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, stated that the government lost 20 billion ringgit in revenue each year after the abolition of GST and re-implementation of SST. The persistent small revenue base causes the government revenue unable to catch up with the increasing government spending, thus lead to the persistent budget deficit in Malaysia. Maladministration practices is also a contributing factor to the persistent budget deficit in Malaysia. Resources used in government projects are underutilized due to maladministration practices such as poor management, non-compliance to procedures, and corruption. For example, according to ZHUO in 2023, the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee report on the Littoral Combat Ship, or LCS, revealed that the cost of LCS construction increased from 9.128 billion ringgit to 11.22 billion ringgit due to increase in the cost of design, price of equipment, insurance and risk, financial costs and project management costs, and also delays and extended time. Although the number of LCS was reduced from 6 to 5. This causes the government has to increase expenses to finish the project, hence causing the persistent budget deficit in Malaysia.
Good morning to our lecturer Puan ZALINA binti Muhammad MOHAIDEEN and my fellow classmates. Our focus today is on the impacts of persistent budget deficit on Malaysia, a subject that transcends financial complexities and strikes at the heart of the well-being of each Malaysian citizen. But before that, my name is VINODWARAN, son of SUGUMARAN, Bachelor of Science Economics. Today, I want to present 3 impacts of budget deficit. Now let's explore the first cascading effect of persistent budget deficit is national debt increases. In order to fund the budget deficit, government have to borrow from internal and external sources. The larger the deficit, the greater the amount the government has to borrow. According to Carlin and MOHD 2018, as lenders doubt about the government's ability to repay their debt arise, lenders may demand the government to provide higher interest rate, but before they are willing to lend to the government. Consequently, the national debt increases and making the government ability to repay the debt even more doubtful. Second one is affecting people quality of life and well-being. According to Herbert and O'Brien 2013, in order to make payment on the increasing debt and accumulating interest, government may have to raise taxes or cut back on other types of spending, and this would impose large burden on taxpayers, especially future taxpayers. Other than that, development projects may have to be halted to give way to payment of debt and interest. Consequently, people may not be able to gain access to quality infrastructure and thus affecting people's quality of life and well-being. Lastly is tarnishing nation image. Persistent budget deficit reflects poor fiscal management by the government, and this would lead to poor credit rating of Malaysia. For instance, according to Fitch Ratings 2020, it has downgraded Malaysia credit rating on 4th December that year, as Malaysia key credit metrics were weakened. Poor credit rating tarnishes Malaysia image. As a result, international lenders may not be willing to lend funds to Malaysia. As according to Frank et 2017, international lenders would not let a country run large and persistent deficit for too long, even if at-home deficit appear politically attractive. These are the 3 effects of ongoing budget deficit.
A very good evening to Puan ZALINA and my fellow friend. Today I want to present my part, that is solution to persistent budget deficit in Malaysia. My name is Tan Han Jie. My matrix number is 298432. Before we know the solution, we must know what is budget deficit. Budget deficit is mean when the taxes is exceed the expenditure. So how the government must do when budget deficit? One of the common solutions the government do is broaden revenue spaces. For example, in budget 2024, our Prime Minister Anwar have introduced some new tax. That is, the first is capital gains tax. The tax will be introduced for the sale of unlisted share at a rate of 10%. And they have tax on high value good. It is a tax of 5% to 10% will also be introduced for luxury goods. And third is global minimum tax, that is introduce a minimum tax in 2025 for company with a global income for at least 750 million euro per year. It is in the line with international standards. And next, the government also have broadened the tax base. It is the current tax on service will be increased to X% from 6%, except food and beverage and telecommunication. The government duty is because when the tax is increased, it will create more revenue. So when create more revenue, can balance the expenditure. So it will cause the budget balance. But sometimes when the tax is increased, it is not get a balanced budget. It is because that our government are not fiscal discipline. So it will cause deficit again. So I hope the government can enhance the fiscal discipline, that is, expanding the horizon for budget formulation, including the application of fiscal rule, setting fiscal target based on structural balance, enhancing the role of built-in stabilizer, establish safeguard and safe clauses, and introducing contingent measures during the budget process. That is all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lee Chai-en. My matrix number is 298375. So for the conclusion part, the country's economy depends on how the budget is received and used in order to measure resource reallocation, economic stability, and economic growth. However, a number of reasons contribute to the ongoing fiscal imbalance. This includes political considerations, lack of a sustainable source of income, and maladministration practice. Each of these factors will result in a budget deficit which will negatively impact the economy of the whole country. For example, persistent budget deficit have a negative impact on increasing national debt, affecting people's well-being, and tarnishing nation's image. In order to prevent all of these negative impacts, the government should enhance fiscal discipline and diversify sources of revenue. In conclusion, the government ought to make all possible efforts to prevent a continuous budget deficit. Thank you.